Hi, my name's Georgia. I'm 25 and I'm a proud dyslexic. I've always known that I was dyslexic or that there was something a little bit different about the way that I learnt, but I only actually just got an assessment done a couple of months ago. And the main reason for getting an assessment done was I went for a few different graduate roles when I graduated uni, and I needed to do some standardised testing. And some of the results that came back I didn't feel reflected me at all. And I kind of thought, oh, well, I'm just probably just a bit stupid or something like that. But then I thought, oh, I don't think I am, but something just didn't make sense. And that's pretty much how I felt my whole life. I've always been like, oh, I don't really understand this and I don't know why. I might just be a little bit thick, or oh, maybe I didn't listen enough, or things of that nature. And then as I got older, I thought, oh, well, if I can, play guitar, or I can do really well in karate, or I can write a story, then I can't be stupid. So when I went to get my assessment done, I was like, I really hope I'm dyslexic. Not even a little bit. I hope I'm a lot dyslexic, and that's just going to explain everything to me. And then I'll know for sure that I'm not stupid. So that was the whole outcome of the assessment, was definitely not stupid, but definitely dyslexic. And I'm just really, it was like a life-changing moment, to be honest, to finally get to the bottom of kind of what's been going on with me for my whole life. Anyway, in terms of any specific difficulties and things of that nature that I kind of noticed at school, I was pretty good at covering things pretty well and coming up with my own ways of remembering things or working out how to do things. But in general, I struggled a lot with maths, especially worded problems. I think there was just too many steps in lots of the sequences, and I just didn't really think that way. And I tried really hard in class and did all my homework and probably above and beyond, especially in VCE, what other people seem to be doing. But the results just didn't really reflect the effort. Spelling was always a pretty big issue for me as well. People would say, "Oh, sound the words out," and they'd try and they'd sound the word out, and I still couldn't do it. Like, I just didn't understand how those sounds converted into letters. So I used to just try to remember the shapes of the word, like where the B or where the D is, like those kind of letters that like stick up or stick down, and then in between I'd try to like fill it in. So that's kind of like how I remember how to spell things, because I just don't have any association between the sounds and the letters. So it's pretty much the only way I've managed to write anything. Reading out loud has always been a bit of an issue as well. I think I'm probably quite fluent now, but just because I sound fluid doesn't necessarily mean that I'm actually comprehending what I'm reading. It's kind of like a bit of a catch-22. So I'm either reading quite slowly but really kind of understanding more what I'm reading, or I'm trying to look competent, but if you ask me any questions about what I've just read, I'm probably not going to remember, because I'm so focused on staying on the same line. Sometimes when I'm reading, I'll read the start of one line and the end of another line, or I might skip a line or be distracted about something that's going on another part of the page or on the other page, and I won't really be focusing as I should. So that's been something that's been quite difficult to overcome. I think also, especially when I was at school, I used to get really frustrated when we all be copying down notes, and the teacher would rub whatever was up on the board off before I'd have a chance to finish it. And half the time, they'd ask, they'd say, "Oh, has everyone finished doing this?" But I didn't want to admit that I wasn't finished, so I just wouldn't say anything, and then it'd get rubbed off, and then I'd get really stressed out. And then sometimes I'd look back at my notes at the end of class, and maybe I'd missed a few words, or again, like the start of one line or the end of another line, and things of that nature. And it wasn't riddled with mistakes, but there was always one or two errors per page. And I don't think it was enough for anyone to say, "Oh, there's a problem here," but it was enough that I knew that there was a problem. Teaching is a pretty important thing to me. My mum grew up in the education system. I grew up around schools, and so I've always kind of paid attention to what, in my opinion anyway, what makes a good teacher and a not so good teacher from my perspective, and what I need to succeed. And I used to find it really frustrating when teachers would, or adults in general, if I came to them being unable to spell a word, when they say just sound it out, and they'd do it like this, and they'd be like really loud and really slow, and I'd be like, number one, I'm not deaf. Number two, what you're actually doing by being really, really loud and obvious like that is people around me are noticing them not understanding something, and it's kind of patronising. If I knew how to spell the word and I knew how to sound it out, don't you think I would have done that myself? That's not the issue. So that's something that always really, really frustrated me. But I really liked it, when someone would sound the word out, or maybe even just spell it out to me, but like not too slow, so I feel stupid. But don't like race off either, because I'm probably not going to be able to copy it down. Or maybe, sound things out, but also back it up with the spelling, so I can try to make that association. I also really got frustrated with, I had one teacher that would say, oh, you can only use words in writing that you can spell. And I used to get really frustrated by that, because I knew so many things that I wanted to say, and I just couldn't get them down on paper like that. But, I'm sure if the teacher spoke to me, I could tell them all the words I wanted to say, because I knew it, I knew what I wanted to say, and I knew what I wanted to write about. And I think really that difficulty just culminated in so much frustration for me, because I always felt like, the way I write, I can't truly show my potential or express things the way I want to express things. I always kind of had to like dumb it down, and then I get feedback like, oh, well, your vocab isn't very good, and I'll be like, well, no kidding, because I'm not being given the chance to show what I can do. I used to get so frustrated, because I really do like writing, but it's just something, I've just always struggled to be able to get the words down on the paper. And now I suppose with technology and things like that, it's a bit easier, and I can, dictate things out, or I can double check definitions or bring things up that I need to bring up just to check that the word that I've written is actually the word that I'm meaning, like it says what I think it says, and things like that. But especially when I was in early years of primary school, and computers weren't as widespread as they are now, it was really difficult. Spell check is lazy. I got that a few times as well. And to me that didn't really make sense, because I'm like, what is lazy? Not bothering to proofread your work, or not using the range or breadth of words that you're capable of using. To me, that's laziness. I always wanted to be able to express myself and do good work. So I really never understood that mentality. I think also something that was getting really frustrating to me as well was, oh, well, you need to practice more at home. You need to practice your spelling more. You need to read more. Oh, make sure, is your mum reading to you? And I'd be like, yeah, mum's reading to me a lot. And, we always had so many books around the house, and I'd always be looking over things, and, I'd be doing all my homework, and that just wasn't, like, effort wasn't the issue. And I think, some of these comments and just, everything, like, one size fits all, well, does it really? And I was never asking to be like treated different in the way that I never wanted to make an excuse for anything, but I wanted an explanation for things, and I wanted to just be able to produce my best work. That was all it was about. And then at secondary school, things kind of improved a bit more, because I could take some of my assignments home, and I could spend the extra time that I needed to get my work proofread properly. And I had some really great teachers that really respected the effort I was putting into things, not just my straight out ability. I had a maths teacher, and I got like 52% on the maths test, but like I tried like so hard, and he came up to me after class and he's like, if we were basing this on effort, he's like, I would have given you an A+, because he's like, I know that you're putting in all the work. He's like, you never talk in class, you always do all the homework, and he's like, I just want to, recognise your effort, and I just want to, to notice that, someone has recognised you in what you're doing. That meant a lot to me at the time. And also with high school, we got to focus on subjects, a broader range of subjects like music and art and things like that I was really passionate about. So I kind of got to show what I was strong at, as well as things that I was weak at. And we got to utilise the computers a lot more, obviously, because technology had improved so much by that point that I could express myself in the classroom with the quality of my writing a lot easier, because we had access to computers, and I didn't have to rely on a dictionary, which I couldn't really use and still can't really use either, to be honest. So that was a big breakthrough for me, and no silent reading. I think for me, silent reading was just such a terrible activity. I remember once one of our teachers was like, I want you to read 10 pages this silent reading session, and then everyone has to stand up and say, what they read about. And I was just like so like worried about not being able to read the 10 pages, and I was so fixated on getting those 10 pages done that when it was my turn to stand up and say what I'd read about, like I could barely remember anything. And then it was kind of like, oh, well, you're not concentrating, or did you even read anything? And I'm like, yeah, like I read the whole thing. I just didn't, recall anything that I read because I was far too stressed out about it. And I think, I think getting people to be able to self-advocate your students is a big deal. I always knew what my difficulties were. I was self-aware enough to know that. And I would have just loved to be able to have the opportunity to really advocate for myself and establish agency for myself and just say, look, these are the difficulties I had. And I didn't really need any massive tweaks in lesson plans. I was really eager and I wanted to learn. But, perhaps it would have been really cool if every assignment was like read out instead of me having to like read it. Or if I did read it, then, me feeling comfortable to come up to you after class or during class and just clarify some things. And, and not to feel like, if I ask questions, I think I didn't bother reading it, because that wasn't the case. But I always just needed to kind of double check that I read something right or interpreted something right. And that's really all I kind of needed, and just a bit of compassion and understanding. Like I had this fantastic teacher, and she just said, I just want you to write whatever you want to write, and we won't worry about spelling. She just said, I just want to see what you can understand and your content and your thoughts, and that was just so liberating for me, to be honest. And I still remember that teacher, and she was great. Sometimes she'd describe for me as well, and she'd be like, okay, just, tell me what you think about X topic, and I'll just write it down for you. And that was really amazing. And I had another teacher, because I was kind of having difficulty remembering my times tables, and instead of just highlighting me and going, you're having an issue with that, she back in the day, she made a cassette tape for everyone with times tables to like a jingle kind of thing. And even when I'm at work now, I still kind of sing that jingle in my head. It kind of like gets my mind thinking about with the times tables, and without that kind of teaching, and again, it's just, slight tweaks. I think I would have completely been disillusioned by the education process, which is a shame, because I think as educators, surely it's up to whoever to kind of really embrace everyone's differences and get the best out of everyone, because I think everyone has potential in some way, and it's really about kind of unleashing that potential and just, letting people be celebrated for who they are and encouraging them. If they have given up on themselves, how do you get that learner engaged again? And that's something I'm really passionate about. And I'm really glad in a way that I wasn't, I had a good mix of teachers and I wasn't disillusioned by the whole process, because, I feel like I did have potential. And since graduating high school, I've gone to uni and I've got 2 degrees. So I've got a degree in business and I've got a degree in graphic design. I did quite well in my studies, which I'm really proud of. And, credit to my family for supporting me during that time as well, because between, work and uni, I was putting in some, 12 to 18 hour days were pretty typical for about 3 years, I would say, 3 to 4 years. And then since graduating, I've got 2 jobs. And one of my jobs is I go around to schools and teach about business and entrepreneurship to young women, which is something I'm really passionate about. I'm all about empowering people and making people see their potential. So that's something I'm really excited about doing. I just love teaching and sharing any knowledge and just communicating things to people, something really important to me. And I'm looking to go back to uni next year to do my master's in education, and I'd love to be a teacher someday. feel really passionate about education. So I kind of don't look at my dyslexia as a disability. I just look at it as a different way of thinking. And sure, there's some things that are a little bit more challenging, but I'm pretty confident in the strategies that I've come up with myself and technology and different aids, and just even just asking people and just being able to communicate your needs to other people. And I feel like there's nothing that you really can't overcome. It's just yeah, just about approaching things differently. So